The Barnstable Police Street Crimes Unit makes yet another arrest. The Prudence has a twin sister and drinks mean dollars for the HYCC on this episode of Barnstable Today. It's Thursday, April 19th, 2012. I'm Sarah Colvin. A routine traffic stop leads to a drug arrest in Hyannis. On Tuesday, two plainclothes officers with the Street Crimes Unit stopped a truck that had driven through a stoplight in Hyannis. While talking with the driver, officers noticed a strong smell of marijuana in the vehicle. Police say a brief investigation uncovered $4,000 in cash and several containers of marijuana. Police arrested the driver and the passenger. Both were arraigned yesterday in Barnstable District Court. If you've headed down to Hyannis Harbor in the past week, you might have noticed some changes. The artist shanties are in place at Bismore Park, waiting for opening day on May 18th. But in the water, there's an interesting sight as well, a twin sister for the Prudence. I caught up with Philip Scudder, VP of Marketing for Highline, who told me all about the Patience and just what she's doing back here at Hyannis Harbor. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Colvin, and we're down here at Hyannis Inner Harbor. I'm here with Phil Scudder. He's the Vice President of Marketing for Highline Cruises. Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Sarah. Nice to be with you.
Nice to be with you as well. And we're here down at Hyannis Harbor because there's kind of an interesting phenomenon. I don't know if our viewers can see behind us, but not only is the Prudence there, but the Prudence has a twin.
Yeah, we called her the sister ship. It's the Patience, Prudence and Patience. We built Patience in the early 80s and used to run both these vessels harbor cruising from here to the compound in Hyannis Port and back for many years.
Of course. Now the Prudence, you had a big party for the Prudence last summer,
yep.
Celebrating its 100 years in service. Now it's not just 100 years in service here in Hyannis, but it's 100 years in service in her entire lifetime.
Correct. Yeah, she was built in 1911. And she had been in 100 years of continuous service, had never been out of service since she was built. We purchased her in 1962. There had only been 3 owners of the vessel, us, Prudence Island Navigation Company, and the original builder who ran the boat in Boston for about 10 years. And she turned 100 last year. We had a nice celebration, and we had decided then we would retire her after 100 years of service.
So where is the Prudence going now?
We have worked an arrangement with Captain Stephen Pagels in Maine. He has business down east, Windjammers, and he runs cruises out of Bar Harbor with a 4-masted schooner, the Margaret Todd, and he has several little ferry boats and some shuttle runs, and he has a couple of boats that he has been using to run sightseeing trips, private charters, one of which has been the Patience. He purchased the Patience from us back in 2007.
No, so tell me a little bit about the Patience. Of course, the Prudence itself, a 100-year-old boat, a very beautiful wooden boat. The Patience is something that Highline had built in the Prudence's likeness.
Correct.
So why build a copy? Why build an exact replica?
Well, the Prudence was a classic Maine coastal steamer, and she had served the purpose very well in everything she had been asked to do. She was really embraced by the community here when we started business back in the 60s, and as we realized we needed additional vessels to operate during the heyday of the Kennedy administration and the compound, how that was so famous at that point.
Of course.
That we had brought in other boats, but then felt a sister ship to the Patience would be to the Prudence would be appropriate.
And so the both of them operated together here in Hyannis Harbor for some time?
Yep, yep.
And the Patience then, excuse me, went up to Maine, and now she's back. So when you originally decided to retire the Prudence last year, was it your thought that you would bring the Patience back for kind of a farewell tour as well?
No, that was a spontaneous decision that we had because we couldn't find a replacement vessel for Prudence. We looked and had a couple of vessels that we made offers on. One in particular that we really wanted, a vessel down in Charleston that fell through, and there just wasn't time to bring another vessel up. So we had been talking with Captain Pagels and asked if he didn't have anything specific for Patience to do this year. He had been kind of bouncing her around through his operation up there. We would love to have her for one season, give us a little more time to find another vessel to replace Prudence in Hyannis, one that has a little more versatility. We're looking to branch out a little bit from the harbor cruises. The Kennedy compound and the mystique of the family has waned a little bit, so we'd like to get a little bit more into some catering, some private charters, luncheon cruises perhaps,
sure,
things like that. So we'd need a little more seating area and room for people to have a sit down, something to eat, but still offer the harbor cruises as well.
Now, are you looking in the replacement for the Prudence, something that has charm? Obviously, the boat we see behind us is really kind of a unique, beautiful, charming looking boat. Are you looking for something with the same kind of charm?
We would love to have a boat come in here that has some character, that would really fit with the community and with the harbor, as these two vessels have for many years. And that's a difficult task without actually going out and designing and building one, which we're not sure is a business plan that we could afford to do right now. But we're going to keep our fingers crossed, keep working hard at looking for a vessel to bring in here. And I think we will eventually find something that's appropriate.
I'm sure. So for how long will the sisters be reunited? How much longer is Prudence here before leaving Hyannis Harbor for good?
Captain Pagels is supposed to be down here within the week, maybe 10 days, to bring Prudence up to Maine. When we went up to get Patience, it took us 4 days to bring Patience down. It was a beautiful trip. The weather was great, which you need to have. You need to have a good forecast to make the trip.
So I'm guessing you're not trailering the boat. The boat is actually traveling by sea.
She's going to steam. Here. Yeah, she's going to steam up, and we expect to see her leaving sometime in the next probably 10 days.
I'm sure will be a little bittersweet.
Very much so, yeah, very much so. She'll actually be leaving town a little before my dad gets back from Florida, and that's probably good, because he would be a very sentimental guy to see her leaving and knowing that she's leaving after 50 years being here.
I'm sure. Well, at least we'll have the patience to remind us of the Prudence, at least for this year, until we get something bigger and better. Well, Phil, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you
so much. I've been joined today by Phil Scudder. He's the Vice President of Marketing for Highland Cruises, and behind us, of course, the sister ships, the Prudence and the Patience. Customers have been flocking to the newly renovated Cumberland Farms at Route 132 and Bursa's Way in Hyannis, purchasing more than 9,000 chill zone beverages in the past 3 weeks alone. This isn't only good news for Cumbies, it's also good news for the Hyannis Youth and Community Center. Through April 26th, Cumberland Farms is donating 20 cents from every chill zone beverage sold at that location to the HYCC's Youth Scholarship Fund. $1,812 have already been raised. With a week left to go, that far surpasses the original $1,000 goal. With Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Colvin.